that they worked for him. My third special moment was when I took a field trip with my class to Underwoods. It was I was getting kind of nervous when I didn't see my parents. They said that they were going to be there. Then I saw them walk in. My face lit up with joy of seeing my parents there for me and to have fun with them. My mom played with me on a mind game, and it was great when I beat her. She was kind of mad, but in a playful way, and she just smiled.
My favorite writing piece was when I was in first grade.
Who would you have?
I had Miss Ellsworth, and it's my favorite because of the very bad picture.
Okay.
My favorite writing piece was in third grade, and I had Mrs. Minnow, and it's because it's really embarrassing.
Okay.
My favorite piece was one where we went to the Catskills because that was my favorite time, and it was in 5th grade.
And who'd you have?
Mr. Biddle.
My favorite writing piece was when I was in first grade and I wrote about what I liked to do. It was good to see how much I've grown.
And who'd you have in first?
And I had Mrs. Donegan.
My favorite writing piece was in first grade, and I had Mrs. Ellsworth.
My favorite writing piece was in 4th grade, and I had a pretty cool invention, and I had Mrs. Hammond.
Awesome.
My favorite writing piece was in 3rd grade when I had Mr. D'Imperio. It was about when I wrote about Nicholas the Snowman.
My favorite writing piece was in 4th grade, and I had Mrs. Larmer, and the writing piece is about children in the colonist stage compared to kids now.
Great.
My favorite writing piece was from when I was in 1st grade, and I had Mrs. Ellsworth, and I really loved this great picture.
My favorite writing piece was from 2nd grade, and I had Mrs. Durheimer, and it's about lost cats.
My favorite writing piece was in 1st grade, and I had Mrs. Lubbock. It's because of the picture.
My favorite writing piece was in 5th grade when I had Mr. Bidwell, and it was about my life in 5th grade, and I really like it because it said, I got to know my crazy teachers. I'm talking to you, Miss K.
My favorite writing piece is from 4th grade when I had Miss Tracy because it was a very in-depth story.
My favorite writing piece was when I wrote about trampolines in 4th grade, Mrs. Larmer.
My favorite writing piece was in 3rd grade when I had Mr. D'Imperio because I didn't know how to spell anything.
My favorite writing piece was when I was in 3rd grade and I had Mrs. Minnow, and it's about my snow pal, and it's my favorite because I don't remember writing it.
Okay.
My favorite writing piece is in 1st grade when I had Mrs. Donegan, and it's my favorite because of the terrible spelling.
My favorite writing piece was when I was in 4th grade, and I had Mrs. Hammond, and I like it because it was about my mom.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I had a bat in my house before. It was very scary.
These letters is Christian of small. One word is Rise. He works at Burgers. Where's that supposed to be?
Remember just these in 1st grade? I at least thought it was like a bird.
Remember this in 2nd grade?
Parrot.
Final copy. Yeah, I'm gonna put that away.
See, you know stuff back then too.
Fishing with my dad. Oh, I've never done this.
Going through my folder because I like to see what I wrote when I was younger. My favorite one was writing about my family trip with my friends, the Evanses.
What grade?
I think 1st grade.
Do you know who the teacher was?
Mrs. Levick.
Okay.
My favorite, I like going through my folder, and my favorite one was this one, and it's about Hayden. And I like seeing all the
What grade did you write that in?
I think first.
Who is your teacher?
Mrs. Levick.
I like going through my folder, and my favorite one was in first grade when I learned how to swim. And my teacher was Mrs. Ellsworth.
I like looking through my folder because I got to see all the terrible things I wrote and how they were cringy. And this was my favorite one because there's a terrible drawing.
And who is your teacher?
I forgot. It was a long time ago. I do like going through the folder because it brought back some good memories. And this one is my favorite because it's a paragraph. It's about bats.
What grade?
I think third.
Teacher?
Mr. D. Imperial. I like this one because I like the book that we were reading in fifth grade.
Teacher?
Mr. Nextman.
I like going through my folder because I got to see a lot of things that I wrote in the past, and this is my favorite one because I didn't write anything correctly, and it just turns out really funny in the end. And this is, I think, in first grade by Mrs. Ellsworth.
I liked going through my old writing pieces, and I liked it because I got to see how bad my handwriting was. My favorite one was I had my surgery for the first time, and I was in second grade, and my teacher was Mrs. Hall.
I had fun going through my writing pieces because I got to see how bad I misspelled everything, and I think this one's my favorite one because it's about Christmas and it makes absolutely no sense.
What grade?
First grade.
Do you remember your teacher?
I think her name was Mrs. Stewart. It was at middle school.
I like going through my writing folder because I like to see how much I progressed, and this was my favorite piece. It was about Pennsylvania, and it was in 5th grade, and Mr. Connectlian was my teacher.
I like going through my folder because I wanted to see how much I improved, and with this one, I went to Disney World, and I was in 1st grade, and I had Mrs. Ellsworth.
I like going through my folder because I like seeing how much I improved, and I picked this one, and it was about a trip to, like, my huge trip, and I was in 5th grade, and my teacher was Mr. Bidwell.
I like looking through my folder because I like seeing all of my memories and seeing ones that I remember working on. And this one's my favorite, but I don't remember doing it. And I'm pretty sure it was in kindergarten when I had Mrs. Sheehan, and I wrote about how I liked playing with my cat and my fish.
I liked going through my folder because it kind of showed how much I've grown as a writer. And my favorite one is from 3rd grade when I was in my last school, and it's about how to find a stronghold in Minecraft. And my 3rd grade teacher was Mrs. Larson.
I like going through my folder because I like trying to pronounce the words that I spelled wrong. And my favorite was this because I was writing about my snow pal, and I was in 3rd grade, and I had Miss Minnow.